All right, so we got a sketch and we've made a body. Now this is where things start getting really interesting. So I'm going to turn on my cylinder, turn on my box, and I don't need to see my sketch for now, so I'm going to turn off sketches temporarily. And let's go ahead and hit M for move, and I'm going to grab that last body we created. I'm going to go ahead and rotate this around. So I'm going to grab this top one and rotate this 90 degrees. And actually, you know what I'm going to do? Let's be a little bit more complicated. I shouldn't say that. It's not complicated. A little bit more complex. So let's talk about a few things first. I'm going to turn off box, turn off cylinder. So hit cancel. I don't want to move this thing yet. Turn off box, turn off cylinder. There we go. So we got our body here. We can do a couple different things with this body. One of the things we can do is we can do a create, and we can mirror this thing. So I'm going to go to create mirror. I need to select the body I want to mirror. You can mirror a component because I have pattern faces turned on. I want to go ahead and do a body. So I'm going to click this body, and I want to mirror this across a plane. So I need to select this mirror plane here, and it'll pop up your origin plane by default. I don't want to mirror across that. I want to mirror across this bottom piece here. So go ahead and hit OK. And now we have a mirror group folder with two bodies, this one and this one. Now if I want to join these bodies together, I can do that because right now they're two separate bodies. So if I want to, I can actually go in here, and so we'll turn on one body here. Let's go to modify and do a fillet. Now instead of doing a fillet like this where I select all these edges here and then I pull these in to create a fillet, one thing I can do is go to modify, and we can do a rule fillet. So I can select this face, give it a distance, let's say 1. Let's delete that, let's say 2. There we go. We can hit OK. And then we can hide that body, bring our other body over. We can right click, repeat, click that. 2's already plugged in, hit OK. Bring them both back, and now you got these two separate bodies with a fillet down the middle, so a nice even seam. If you want to evaluate these fillets a little bit better, by the way, we can go to Visual Style and just turn on Shaded, and that'll kind of give you a better idea of how these things look, as well as, just really quickly, we're going to get into this. I'm going to get into this a little bit more later, but we can hop down to the Render menu, and this is just a default kind of OK render. If you click this button here, Enable Ray Tracing, that'll go ahead and do a really nice render. And like I said, we'll get more into the render options in a bit, but that's available to you. So I'm going to go ahead and click X, disable ray tracing, go out of render, go back to model, and go back to our visual display settings here, visual style, and turn on shaded with visible edges only. So we're back here. So I'm going to actually undo those last two rule fillets and bring back our bodies. And let's go ahead and join these two together. So we can go over here to modify, and we can do a combine. And with a combine, you have a target body, and then you have a tool body. Now, because we're not cutting something out, like for example, if I had a body and I wanted to cut a cylinder out, I would choose my target body as the body I want to keep, and then my tool body is the body I want to choose to like dig a hole out of my other body. And we'll do this later eventually. But because we're just going to combine these two, I'm going to change this to join. And you can choose to keep your tools. We'll get into that later, but for now I'm just going to hit OK. And now you can see those two bodies are joined. So now you can just, we can actually do a rule fillet on this top part here. So let's go to modify, rule fillet, and we can select this top face, click OK, right click, repeat it, bottom face, click OK. Now you've got a really nice looking something. Now I said we're going to get complicated, so let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to undo all this all the way back out to where we have just this body sitting here with these other bodies. So now let's say we want to go ahead and put this body here on either side of this original box we have. So the first thing we need to do is probably move this thing. So I'm going to hit M to move, click the body we want to move. I'm going to snap to the front view here, and I'm going to just snap all the way out here. And you're going to see it's going to snap to that grid line. And this is why you kind of want to work on a grid, because this makes it a lot easier to move these things down. And once we've done that, we can hit OK. I want to move this face down so it's equal to this face. An easy way to do that, I mean, there's a ton of different ways to do that. Really easy way to do that for now is just to do a push-pull. Go back to our front view, and we'll just pull this down. And it's not going to snap. You see how it's going to kind of snap around that. If I zoom in, using my mouse wheel, you can actually get a little bit more fidelity. You can snap it exactly to where that grid line is that the other body's on. So click OK. And now we need to move this thing over. So I'm going to go to the top view here, and I'm going to hit M to move it, and select it, and I'm going to move this over. Now it's a little bit bigger than the original object, which, you know what, that's not a big deal. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in, and let's go ahead and just kind of snap it so that it's on either side. So you know what? That's not a huge deal. I mean, again, I could scale this thing. I could make it a little bit cleaner. But for now, I think that'll be okay. So I'm going to hit OK. Now let's say we want this object here to be on this side of this object, using the midplane of this object to kind of snap to. So one thing I can do is go in here to construct. I'm going to choose midplane. Now I'm going to choose midplane. I'm going to select this face, and I want to do a midplane between two faces, because if you go over here to construct and roll over midplane, I'll tell you that's basically what it does. I'm going to hide this body temporarily because I want to select this plane. and it created a plane right down the middle of those two planes I selected. Now I don't see it, and you're going to see over here it's going to say, hey, warning, you just created a construction plane, but you have construction turned off. So go ahead and turn that on. Do that drop down. Now we have the original point we created on that cylinder, and now we have a new plane in here, which is the midpoint construction plane. So now that we have that, go ahead and bring your original body back, and let's go ahead and do a mirror, only we're going to use this as our midplane this time. So I'm going to go back up here to create mirror, select that body, choose a mirror plane. We're going to use that midplane. It's going to mirror it across, hit OK, and there we go. Now if we want to join these two together, just like we did originally, we can go here to create, or I'm sorry, modify, combine, select, and because we're doing a join, it doesn't really matter which order you select these things in, but we'll do a target body. These two is the tool bodies, and we're going to do join, hit OK, and now these are all joined together into one object. So let's go ahead and keep using sketches and updating this object with the power of sketches. So I'm going to make sure my sketches are turned on, so now when I create a new sketch, it'll actually show up. So I'm going to go to create a new sketch, and go ahead and click on this top plane here, and that'll basically, so here's my sketch 9, that's my new sketch. If you want to be more organized, you can go ahead and name these. I'll be honest with you, I tend to model in components and then have my sketches organized with my components, so I don't end up actually labeling a whole lot of my sketches. This will make more sense later when we get into components and the difference between components and bodies. But for now, I've just got sketch number 9 here. I'm at the top. And let's say I want to go ahead and append this shape with another shape that I want to use. So what I can do is a couple different things. Let's go to sketch, circle, and we'll do a center diameter circle, and the shortcut for that is C. And if I want to, I can go to, you're going to see how this turns into a little circle thing here. It's already recognizing that I'm in the middle of this circle, so it'll snap to that circle, and I can actually do a circle that's exactly parallel to the other circle. Another thing I can do is if I go up here to sketch, offset, which is O, I can click that, and because it's already given me, it's already kind of projected that work plane onto my sketch, I can just do an offset of this circle, and I can just click and do another offset of that circle. And you're going to see when I actually clicked on that circle, it went ahead and projected for me, so it turned it into a red line. So just a feature, I guess. So we've gone ahead and done that. If I hit L for line, I can go from the center of the circle, which is the red line here, and I can click straight out. And let's say I want to do like a keyhole shape, so I want to do a line and then an arc, and then I want to mirror that. So what I'm going to do is use this line as a construction line. So how I do that is I click this, and I right click, and I do normal construction. And actually the function for that is X. So if I click any of these lines and hit X, that'll turn it from a sketch line to a construction line. If you're going to see the difference is it's this orange dotted line. So you can kind of use these as mirroring planes, just construction stuff that you want to like snap to, but you don't want it to be part of your profile that you're going to push and pull later. So I'm going to hit L, and let's go ahead and, so here's my open circle here. If I want to do a line tangent to this circle, one interesting thing you can do is you can click, and as you're dragging, it'll actually pull around the circle, and then as soon as I hit a tangent point, as I start going straight, it's going to stop right at that line. So I can actually use that feature to kind of go ahead and pull a line straight out tangent, and I'm just going to drop that. If I want to go ahead and stop sketching my line, all I got to do is go up here and click this checkbox, or I can hit escape, and that'll go ahead and take me out of line mode. So we want to draw a line out, and then we want to arc it back in. There's a ton of different ways you can do that. If you do it, hit C for circle and go to the middle here, you can actually drag a circle out until it hits to this line, so you can kind of take your cursor and just snap it to that line. And then you can hit T, as in toy, to trim, and then you can get rid of that line. So that's one way you could do that. Another way you could do that is to go ahead and let's mirror this line. So I'm going to click this line here, and I'm going to go to Sketch, Mirror, and it's got, because I had that line selected, it's got one object I want to mirror, and my mirror line, I'm going to click that no selection, and I'm going to click my construction line, and that's going to say, okay, I've selected this line, here's my mirror line, and I want to mirror this line across that axis, and there's the preview of it. If I hit OK, now I've got that line on both sides. And then you're also going to see I've got this little symmetry thing here. That means it's been constrained with symmetry, and you can break those constraints. You can actually just click and delete them if you want, and I'll show you why you might want to do that later on probably. So now we've mirrored those two lines, and let's go ahead, and we don't want to do a full circle, but we want to do maybe an arc. So let's go ahead and give that arc something to snap to. So what I'm going to do is hit L, and I'm just going to put a line just snapping to my grid here, all the way straight down, all the way across, and I'm going to hit escape to go out of line mode. I'm going to hit T to go into trim mode, and I'm going to clean this up a little bit, get rid of these little straggly ends here. So now what I've got is a line across and a line here. So at this center point is, I could make this a center point of my circle, or I could make just these 2 points here the end points of my arc. So if I am going to do that, what I can do is hit escape, click this line, hit X as an X-ray, and that'll make that a construction line. Then I can grab my 3-point arc, which I have a button for it there, or you can go to arcs, 3-point arc, or you can do center point arc or a tangent arc, just any of these will work. I can click this line for the beginning, this line for the end, and depending on which way I can go put an arc here, or I can make it a little more shallow, a little bit more arcy. So let's say we'll make it a shallow arc. I'll just click there. Just to clean this up a little bit more, I'm going to hit T as in toy, go ahead and trim these lines back, and there's my profile shape. So if I go ahead and stop sketch, I can go here, I can select these profiles. Here's the one major profile here that I've made, and you're going to notice if I hadn't made these construction lines, I'd have to go in here and click this profile and click this profile and click this profile, because these blue lines actually create different profiles, as you can see there, but construction lines don't. So it just makes it a little bit easier. So now that I have that, I can right click, go to press pull, and since I already have that profile selected, I can pull straight down. That'll make a cut. By default, it's at cut. You can do join or intersect or new body if you'd like, but I'm going to stick with cut. And instead of distance, I'm going to go 2, and I want it to cut through all the way till it hits that point. And then I click OK. And now I've got that shape.